boy, does Dave Filoni know how to throw a Star Wars panel. Good God, does this man know what we like? Probably because he's pretty much one of us. So the Clone Wars panel happened. And I have to say, I mean, the episode 9 panel still takes the cake, but this one was pretty damn good. I complained about the Mandalorian panel not showing any footage, and I have to watch a bunch of stupid leaked footage online, which sucks. Clone Wars, they didn't just show footage. They didn't just show a clip. They showed 3 full clips and a trailer, and they streamed all of it. Dave Filoni, you're a god. So this panel, this was I lost my mind for the episode 9 panel. I'll say it. I teared up at this one. They a very specific clip that they showed. The power of Dave Filoni and the power of George Lucas and this incredible story that they have been telling over years. Ahsoka has just become one of the staples of the Star Wars universe, and I think it's only a matter of time now, but before we see her live action. It's gonna happen, guys. It'll happen. Just hold in there. We saw an unfinished clip. The animation does not look good because it's, again, not finished, unfinished, and it still had me in tears. I did not realize the Clone Wars Save, the post that they put out, had the clones with like new paint on their helmet. I didn't realize that paint is designed to look like Ahsoka and her markings on her face. The way that Dave Filoni wrote that scene, and the way that it was handled, and the way that it was acted, it was so perfect. This final season of Clone Wars is going to be something very special. Biggest takeaway from this panel. It's very clear that this final season, and it took me back at first. I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that. And then by the end of the panel, I was sold on it. This season 7, very clearly going to be about Ahsoka. Matt Lanter, who is the voice actor of Anakin, he wasn't even out there until the end. Like they brought him on at the end, but it's, you got to pay attention to who's on the couch and who are they talking to. They had Ahsoka out there, Rex and all the clones. They had him out there, and they had Sam Witwer out there, who was Darth Maul. I thought Darth Maul was going to be in this. I didn't realize he was going to be like a main character in this. Clearly, he's going to be. But the trailer screamed Ahsoka. All the clips we were shown were Ahsoka. This final season of Clone Wars is very clearly going to be, it's going to be the Ahsoka show. When I realized that, I was like, oh, I don't know. Do I really just want, are we just ending on Ahsoka? Are we leaving Anakin behind? Because I was intrigued by the fact that, oh, this is going to lead right in to the battle over Coruscant, the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. We're gonna see Anakin get the call that the Chancellor's been kidnapped. Or we're gonna see hopefully the scene where Padme learns that she's pregnant, and I think all of that's still going to happen. But I think it's very clear this show, this is Ahsoka's show. They sold me on it. When I realized that, I was like, ooh, I don't know. And then by the end of the panel, like halfway through it, I was like, I'm in. I love Ahsoka like everybody else. And it looks like, again, this is going to be her season, her farewell for now. Because, look, Dave Filoni, it's the writing's all over the wall. I can feel it in my bones. It's not long before this guy directs a feature film. A lot of things that we learned at this panel is, again, this is it. I think a lot of people were intrigued, like, okay, season 7, are they bringing back, is this just one season? Are they going to bring it back? Dave Filoni made it very clear that he wasn't even sure if he wanted to do this. Whenever a show ends and stops, it's very difficult to get the band back together and have it feel the same, or not even feel the same, but be as good as it was. Not only did he say that they did it, he said that he thinks some of the best that they've ever done. The animation looks, I've always said that like season 3 on for Clone Wars is pretty much Pixar quality. I mean, it's little known fact, George Lucas was like burning money on this show. He was not making profits back specifically on this show, but he didn't care because this was what he was focusing all his passion on. Let's make it the best we can make it. They lost money on Clone Wars. They weren't making buckets of cash on it. It looked ridiculously good. It costs money to make it look. There's a reason why Rebels doesn't look anywhere near as polished and as detailed and as good as Clone Wars does. Is because that show, Disney's like, we gotta make some money off of this. So you can make it look good, but only so good. This looks incredible. This is Disney being like, okay, Dave Filoni, here's a big check. Just do a good job. Dave Filoni at the Mandalorian panel, it was fun to see him, but you could tell like he was out of his comfort zone a little bit with that panel. With this panel, Dave Filoni is home, and you can just tell, like, he is so cool and so relaxed and so in control. He's been doing this for over a decade, and you can tell. I love Rian Johnson because, not only because I love The Last Jedi, but I love the fact that Rian Johnson just made The Last Jedi. He can now go and do any movie that he wants to do. But instead, he signs, like, his next decade of filmmaking off to Star Wars. Yeah, I'll make a trilogy. Done. Dave Filoni is the same way. This guy could go in any number of directions, but he chooses to stick around. And they didn't talk too much about Darth Maul, but Sam Witwer, pay attention to who's on the couch. Sam Witwer was on the couch the whole time. It looks like he's going to be a major, major role, major part. Also, they revealed the costume that he's going to be wearing in the season, and it's essentially his Solo costume. I love that. I don't know if Dave Filoni likes Solo or not, but guess what? It doesn't matter, because Dave Filoni knows the importance of making all this visually flow from one thing to the next, and he knows that his stuff is taking place relatively close to where Solo is. Responsible storyteller. J.J. Abrams proved to me that he's going to be a responsible storyteller, and I'm thrilled. And Dave Filoni is like the most responsible of all of them. So the lightsaber fights in the Clone Wars, the lightsaber fights are cool, but it's like, it's all animated and it looks cool, but it's still like, I've always found that they're a little hard to get into. For this one, they brought Ray Park back in to be Darth Maul again, and they motion captured. He did a mocap performance. Dave Filoni talked about a giant lightsaber fight in this thing, and it's gonna be Ray Park doing Darth Maul again. So that's exciting. No word on when this thing is gonna come out. They did not mention that this is gonna be a launch title for Disney Plus. Maybe it will be, but maybe they're just at a point. I think they're just at a point right now where they're not really super uber confident on exactly when this thing is going to be done. So they don't want to say, hey, it'll be ready for November 12th, when, I mean, animation can move way more slowly than I think people realize, and they may not be ready for that date. So if we don't get it this year, I think we'll get it super early next year. So the show's right around the corner. It could still be a launch title. We don't really know yet. The dynamic between the cast and everyone who's involved with this stuff is just so fantastic, and it's so great to see all them. I don't know. It's just this panel was like, it just really, like, I mean, episode 9, again, best panel I've ever seen. And that's so great because it's everyone everyone who has loved Star Wars in any capacity is all there. We're all excited. We're all pumped. We're all losing our mind for that trailer. This, though, has a different feel to it. I'm not saying it's better, but it's special in its own way, because this is like the Clone Wars. If you're tearing up over a cartoon, let's get real here for a second. If you're tearing up and losing your mind and emotionally getting attached to these animated characters, you are more than just a Star Wars fan. You live and breathe this stuff. I mean, I always say, like, the Return of the Jedi crawl will come flying out of my arm. Like, I live and breathe and bleed this stuff every single day. That panel, people who are in that room, it's more niche. It's more like, it feels more exclusive in a way that, like, kind of like we've earned this. If you've been watching the show all throughout the years, if you've been invested in Ahsoka and Clone Wars and Rebels, and you know who Dave Filoni is, it was a really special feeling. I don't know, like, obviously I wasn't there. I wasn't at Celebration. I watched a live stream. You felt like you could feel the energy in the room, and it was, I don't know, is it weird to say it feels like family? Because that's what it feels like. It really does. It feels like, I don't know, it feels special. This show, it's been special for a long time, and it looks like we're going to get an incredible ending. So again, this is going to be about the Siege of Mandalore. If you don't know what that is, that's okay, because nobody knows what that is. That is something that has been referenced and talked about and hinted at for years, and we know nothing about it. That's what Season 7 is going to be about. It's clearly going to be the Ahsoka show, which is so fitting because, I mean, she is one of the, now, like, we're talking about top 10 most beloved Star Wars characters. She's on that list, and I think for a lot of people, she's like top tier, like top 5, top 3, for some people top, like, number 1. You can't discredit that. Ahsoka means a lot to this fandom. I think it's only fitting that, I mean, we end the show emotionally with her, and I think I'm excited. I'm real excited for this show. Again, obviously, I'm a film guy first. Episode 9 is far and away the thing I'm most excited for and I'm most emotionally connected to. But after Episode 9, Clone Wars, man, this is it. This is the end, and I'm glad they're not dragging it on either, because Dave Filoni clearly wants to move on to animation. Live action, The Mandalorian, and like I said, hopefully full feature films. I think there's a very bright future for Dave Filoni going forward, and I'm so excited. I can't even explain to you how excited I am for the future of Star Wars because of people like Dave Filoni. Before he goes off into that horizon of incredible filmmaking that I think he's going to do and storytelling that he's gonna partake in, I think it's fitting that before he did that, he said, okay, hold on, I have an opportunity to finish this. Clone Wars, man. I mean, I remember this show means a lot because, like, I remember it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget now that because we've lived in a what are we at 6 years? Disney era of Star Wars has been about 6.5 years long. It's easy to forget that, especially if you're like super young. If you're like 12 or 13, you guys won't remember this. But anybody who's my age or older, listen, I grew up I grew up with the prequels. Revenge of the Sith came out when I was, God, how old would I have been? I would have been 7 going on 8, I believe. The prequels ended when I was turning 8 years old. So I had a lot of childhood left and no more new Star Wars stuff. So when I found out in 2008 that George Lucas was doing a TV show and it was animation, you have to understand, that was it. That was all we had. Like, I used to, like, be so excited to, like take over the TV and kick everybody out and be like, get out the way. Clone Wars, there's a new episode premiering tonight. That's all we had to look forward to was this show. 22 minutes a week of this animated thing intercut with stupid Nerf and Barbie commercials, but I didn't care. It's the only new Star Wars thing that we had. That's why I think the show means so much to so many people, and to me, that's why it means so much to me, because this was all, for the longest time, we were told that we're not getting any more Star Wars. Revenge of the Sith was the end, and we all believed George. I grew up with, like, the only new Star Wars that I was getting, it was Clone Wars. And we were all devastated when that show got canceled. To see them coming back and be like, we're going to finish it up. We're going to finish it right. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I have so much faith in Dave Filoni. And I really think that this is going to be a really incredible ending to the story. I love Dave Filoni. I love this show. I love this era. And also, too, I want to end this by saying other than the Ian McDiarmid roll it again, which will forever go down as one of the greatest Palpatine lines ever, and it's not even in a film. Other than that moment, my favorite moment of all of Celebration, somebody asked, or somehow it came up, like, what made this I think Warwick Davis asked, who's a fantastic host, by the way, I love Warwick. He asked, what makes this show so special? And Dave Filoni is surrounded by his cast of people who clearly love this guy. They just said that, this works because of Dave Filoni. This works because of Dave Filoni, and they all pitched in, and they all were championing Dave Filoni, and people started to clap, and we started to get a little emotional, and Dave Filoni said, no. That's flattering. Thank you. But the reason that this show works was because of George Lucas. I learned everything from George. This was George's show, and the reason that this works is because of George Lucas himself. And I love the fact that Dave Filoni is still championing George Lucas. I love that. There is no person who's more influential creatively in so many of our lives than George Lucas and his work. We grow up essentially learning from this guy through his films. I think there are still a lot of fans out there who like to just like throw away George or be like, oh, Dave Filoni's the guy. And that moment when Dave Filoni goes, no, wait a minute, guys. This was George. This works because of George Lucas. And I think that was just a really heartening moment. Now, that was a big deal for me. Other than this fantastic moment, I mean, even McDiarmid, he's just, good God, man. Look at him. Look at this beautiful man. Other than this moment, it's Dave Filoni reminding us why we're all here in the first place. It's because of George Lucas. Dave Filoni, he's the heir apparent, man. He's the last student of George Lucas. He's the guy that George gave all his knowledge to. So this show's going to be something really, really special, so I can't wait. Clone Wars Season 7, it's coming out relatively soon. It's right around the corner. Other than Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, still getting used to that title. This is the thing I'm most excited for, and I think a lot of people feel that way. Can't wait. Bye.
see you.